Greetings, this is Jimmy. Thanks for tuning in to Coffee and Composing. And I thought I'd just start out with showing myself drinking a little coffee and playing what I've composed here lately. And it's just one of the few things that I have composed for lesson number 3, okay, of Coffee and Composing on how to use scales and chords, okay, chords on the keyboard, okay, and the scales according to the notes, okay. So we're starting out like at A, all right, ABCDEFG. Keep it simple, fast track it, and just take the scale of A, let's say, okay. So here we go. There is the scale of A, all right. So now this song is actually, let's see. So that's the A. That's the A key. This is the lower octave. So we begin basically in the key of A, and when I end, so that's A. That's A. C, D, E, F, G, A. So that's definitely A, and C, D, E, F, G, A. So we're actually from the note of A and the basically forming a song around the note of and the key of A. Okay, so let me go over this one more time. Start out at the D. D, E, D, E, D, E, G, A. D, E, G, A. So we're going from D, E, G, A. So there's the A, okay? So we kind of start out at the A chord, and we end up once we end up on the A chord and the same, we just turn around at the end and end up right where we began, and then hit the A again, and hit the A up here. So there's an A. There's an A, there's an A, there's an A. So 4 different octaves of A. All right, so in attempting to prepare for this lesson, and by the way, thanks for tuning in. So Coffee and Composing, all right, this is Jimmy. Hope you got your coffee. Pull up a chair, and thanks for joining me. So anyway, in preparing for this lesson, okay, I've had to practice using the keyboard, which I play primarily the guitar, but years ago I also incorporated the keyboard, okay, into my music as well. And I've come to really enjoy playing the keyboard. I'm self-taught. So preparing for this lesson, okay, I've developed a number of short riffs, okay, different songs, all with using basically the scale of A. Okay, so we got the 7 basic notes of music are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, and so there's 5 more notes and something I haven't said, but the 5 other notes are basically the same thing. Okay, there's 5 sharps. Okay, you have sharps and flats. So the white keys, here it is right here. Okay. So here's the white keys, A, B, C, D, F, G, but I'm not going to use the octatonic scale as much as I'm just going to use the, I think it's called the chromatic scale. So here's A. Okay, so that's the chromatic scale, but the octatonic scale is. So So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, go up to the next octave, okay? Because there's only 7 notes in the music. But in between, that's the white keys. That's a natural, those are called natural notes. But in between those white keys are black keys, and those are sharps and flats, okay? Sharps and flats, same, basically the same difference, because of course the same black key could be a sharp or a flat, depending on if you're going from, let's say, here's a C sharp, okay, and next white key up is D, so down, the same key is now a D flat. So C, D, so middle key, black key, C sharp, or from the D down, D flat. So there's 5 other notes, and I believe those are sharps and whatnot. I'm not really worried about that right now. I'm still actually learning myself, but it's still, regardless whether it's a sharp or flat, on those other 5 notes are also within the range of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, it could be a C sharp, a G sharp, whatever, or a D flat, or whatever. But still, remember, within those 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is fast tracking. And so just realize that, and then all the other things, the other additives will just interject along the way, okay? So now, in this right here, okay, on my DAW, all right, is are a number of riffs that I have developed. Now, this one right here and this one right here, these 2 I just highlighted, are the same. Okay, now about these songs, the little short songs that I created around just the A scale and the A note and the A chord, okay? And so, first of all, I want to say to simply form chords with, as you just heard me play just now, I'm using white keys, okay? I don't think I've used any black keys in that song, no sharps, no flats, just all natural notes, okay? And so the forming of the chords are, like, if I'm going to do a chord, there's A, I'm going to form every other key, all the white keys only, and then every other key, okay? So it's going to be, in this case, since it's the A, okay, A chord, then the A note is going to be the root note. So whatever note you want to play and form it into a chord, okay? So you want to do an A chord, B chord, C chord, whatever, okay? All with, in this case, with natural notes or the white keys, is going to be every other key. So the note that you start out on is going to be your root note. There's the A, okay, I found it. So there's the A. That's the root note, all right? And then every other white key or every other note. So if it's A, B, C, D, E, okay, so A, C, and then E. A, C, E. A, B, C, D, E, right? A, B, C, D, E. So A, right, then after the B comes C, right? And after the D comes E. So the A, the C, and the E, all right? So that is a chord, okay? So in this case, there's an A. Okay. There's the A, or this is a higher octave. So it's the same thing, just higher octaves up the keyboard. And so now, let's say, so since music is 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? 7 notes, 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then what happens, it repeats itself, just goes back to A. Now if it's going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then the next note is going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And what is going on here is every time you go up, it goes up another octave for each of those particular parts. A, B, C, D, E, F, G is going to be 1 octave. The next row of A, B, C, D, E, F, G up is going to be a higher octave. And the next row of that is going to be a higher octave yet, and so on. Now, the keyboard actually starts at C, okay? But nevertheless, if it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, then it goes to C, next higher octave up, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B. C, every one of those notes in those sections, the next section up of those same row of notes, all right, same exact way, are going to be the next higher octave up, and so on, right? So, once again, here's the A. Let's do this. Okay. There it is, there's another A. So how many A's do we have on the keyboard here? Let's find out. So we got 1, 2, 3, and then, yeah, I'm still learning too. 4. So we got 4. So how many C's? Let's start out at C. C. In this case, we got 5. Now, the reason that I only have 4 of those A octaves and 5 of the C octaves is because I have a 49 key keyboard. Now, you can get them in 25 key, 49 key, 61 key, and then 88 key. So if you get them in 88 key, all right, I think it's going to be 8 octaves on the C, all right? And of course, more octaves, therefore, on other notes. Now, that's how you simply do a chord. Let's do the C chord. Okay, let's do the A chord, B chord, C chord, D chord, all the way on up to G. Okay, so very simple, just natural notes, white keys, all right? So here's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, up to the next octave. Now that's when you're forming them on with just the white keys or natural notes. So the song I just played for you are all natural notes. I'm forming all the notes, whatever I'm playing, a lot of them, right, with chords, right? And the chords, I'm using every other white key. So, right, there's A. There's the E. Then A again. G, G, right? And then I'm just going to run it up. And then we're going to do C. And that's F. Then back to A. And then run it on up, however you want. Then to the F, I believe it is. Let's see, C, C, C. Yeah, I think this is F. So this is F. That's E. That's D, C, B, A. Back to the A. C. And then the E. And then back to the A again. That's A. So A. So that is a song I composed preparing for this lesson, okay, to compose a song in the scale with the scale, basically the scale and chords, okay, in the key of A. It's very simple, man. After a while, I mean, you got to work at it, whatever, but it's just it's probably simpler than what you might expect once you start tickling the arteries on the keyboard. Okay, then you're just gonna find things. Now what this is in this case, I'm gonna show you. So this is actually the song. Okay, so if I were to solo that, I've already got it recorded with the MIDI. That's already done. And what this is this is the same song, but rendered into wave. So it's the same thing. Same exact recording. Now, let's go to something else that I composed real quick. And let's go here to this one now. This is same thing, MIDI file, okay, MIDI audio rendered to wave, so one of each. So I just basically did. So I start out, that's the A scale, okay, the A scale, and now, all right, I start out, let's go ahead and play that and see what happens, all right? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so what's happening here? So if I'm not mistaken. Goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I just formed chords with that scale because now, as I mentioned, okay, that is, I think, the chromatic scale. So the chromatic scale, I believe, is going to be. It's actually every key. I'm still learning myself, so bear with me. Let's back this up and retract this. So this is this scale of A without the sharps in there. Okay, so here's first of all the scale of A with the sharps. So let's go back over this. So now that is actually what it's supposed to sound like. Okay, that is the right way. Now if I do a G, let's do a G. See, I'm using the black keys with it. So now, not just using the white keys, right? Not just the natural keys, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, but using the octatonic scale, I believe it is, okay? So, but the scale that it sounds right in, okay? Do it again. Now listen to the difference. Can you hear the difference? Okay, so now using the black keys, all right, that is actually the proper way it should be sounding, all right, on the scale. So what this song is you'll notice I start out at A, B, C, D, okay, A, B, C, D, F, G, A. So now, so this is actually A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, okay? And so what's happening here is now, so I'm still learning, okay? So it takes practice. And so I'm taking the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just the notes, okay? But now I'm taking every one of those notes and turning it into a chord. That's ended up. It started at A, ended up at A. So now this is forming chords, okay, and any one of those 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, back up to the next octave A. This is the forming of chords using both the white keys and the black keys, okay? The white keys and the sharps or flats. So that's the thing. So that's what this is again. Let's play this again. All right. So it's actually, this is the high next octave up on A. So it's going to be the A. So it's going to be the C sharp, A, C sharp, and then A. Again, next. So A, C sharp, and then the next octave up on A. That one sounds good to me. All right, so that's the way it should end. As a matter of fact, I see that it does, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go ahead and now let's go to, here's another song that I had composed, also in the scale of A. So let's go ahead and play it here. And now, once again, with working with the scale of A, okay, and sticking basically with that key, therefore, this is what also I came up with using the scale of A. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go home, back to the beginning, that is, and now here we go. See, now I'm using the scale, ABCDEFG. So that should be. Now, so though I start out in, B, okay, B, nevertheless, I find, I think right in here, so. That's the A. So though I use other notes, okay, still, even so, I'm starting out at the B, but it's still, what I'm doing here is, so I'm still ending on A. And so if we take a look at the that's still using the A chord and the A, somewhat of the A scale, okay? So anyway, that's another piece that I had created. And it doesn't have to stick strictly to the script of, it's only got to be mainly, A, because you're going to use the variety. You want to use the spectrum of notes, okay, in a song that, anywhere between A and G that sounded good together with each other. But these are just examples of what you can do, okay, with basically, okay, learning the scale. So once again, played all the notes on all the scales. And so let's see here. Let's see if I can do this right. So I did the C. Okay, so there's the E. The C has no sharps or flats in it. The D has 2, and then the E, 1, 2. There's 4 sharps in the E. You see how they're harmonious, C, D, and E? They basically are following the same harmony. All right, so then we're going to do the F, okay? There's only 1 sharp in that. The G, let's do the G. Okay, now the A. Okay, so now let's do this again from the beginning. All right, so here's the A. So there's the A. So the B has 5. That's the C. Easiest of all because there's no sharps or flats in there, okay? Oh, my Lord, help me. So let's see. That's the D, okay? 4 in the E. Oh, my God, help me. 1 sharp in the F, okay? And then G. And only 1 sharp in the G. And then the A. There's the A. So we went from A to A. Takes a lot of practice, man. A lot of practice, no matter what. There's 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow, we did it. Now, the thing of it is, now you try this again. Now, see, I hit a natural chord in that scale, and it don't sound right, does it? So, see now, that is a chord, but I have to use a black key higher up, okay, to do that. So that's the thing. So some chords are going to be able to form just with the white keys, okay, and every other key at that. So 3 keys, every other key, okay, white keys. Some are going to be formed with a combination of white and black keys, and that's the struggle, my friends, and the struggle is real. So anyway, holy mackerel. All right, so yes, but you know what? The struggle is real. And just don't give up and just don't quit, okay? It's just stay at it, stay at it, stay at it, because you're going to be able to make progress. I have made progress. At one time, I didn't know how to play the keyboard. I knew how to play Color My World at the beginning, thinking, I don't even know if I can play that now. But I remember I would see a piano where I'd go, wherever I would go, and I would see a piano, like a coffee shop, coffee house, whatever, or somewhere else, whatever. I'd want to sit down at that piano and play that. So, and what I'm doing is I'm hitting every other key. So C, So the C, E, G. So C, E, C, E, G, B, C, E, G, B, C, E, G, B. I'm using what, 4 keys? C, C, E, G, B. Okay, I'm using every other white key and forming that chord, okay? Yet, imagine Color My World, it starts out with that, right? I know it goes down. No, that ain't right. I'm not sure. I remember it goes down to that note, but what it does past that, I'd have to sit down and really I'd have to listen to the song again and figure out how that goes. So another thing I did too is I want to show you, okay, besides, is the following. So I pretty much showed you everything on here except, tonight that is, except for what? This right here. Now this is, actually I performed, I do believe in I think I did perform this and shared this in the second lesson, but this is actually in the scale of C. I was just sitting here and tinkering with the keys, and I found myself playing this for the first time ever. Okay, so here we go. You're going to probably recognize this, believe it or not. Probably recognize it, right? Now that is using the C, okay? So, okay. Got it. But, once again, using chords, right? Every other key, white key, with the C note. So, I use that same principle throughout the whole song, okay? Now, I'm going to practice that song some more and hopefully commit it to memory. This is why I'm glad I can record, because it's going to always, well, I performed it. I had to do something right to perform it right, to record it right, and I can go back to it later. And once I've done that, I can go back and practice it, okay? And that's the other thing. Now, next, okay, so let's disarm that. And I want to show you another project thing that I've got open here. And we're going to go over here to this. And now, so I was mentioning the other night, okay, I was making a video about, okay, the roles in music creation. Roles in music creation. I did the live video and went for a long time, and I actually just deleted the video and decided to do another live video on that. But the roles of music creation, okay, and I'm going to interject real quick, are the following, okay? Now, they are composer, lyricist, and songwriter, okay? Here's Amazing Grace, all right? This is in notation, okay? John Newton. And what I'm getting to is just a little extra bonus material I wanted to show you up here that I have. So, I don't know, last year I sat down sometime and I find myself I find myself starting to play Amazing Grace. My 61 key keyboard over there. It's a Casio keyboard, okay? And I said, well, I want to be able to remember how to play that, so let me write the notes down. So you see that score right there? The notes are written down, okay, like that. But here's how I write down my notes, like that, okay? There's the notes, all right? And now, see this? Got this outside of Memphis, Tennessee state line in Mississippi. Across the Memphis, Tennessee state line in Mississippi at a Five Below store. And that's going to be what that is over there. But these are blank sheets of that notation paper. There's 5 lines each, 5, 5, 5. See, that's those staffs, and I can write music in there. And I used to be able to read and write sheet music when I was in grade school and junior high when I played an instrument, the cornet, when I was in school band. But I dropped out of band when I went into high school, okay? So, therefore, I stopped reading and performing by means of notation, okay, and sheet music. And so lately I've been, thinking, there's something else I could refresh my memory on and start to learn how to do, just out of the fact that I wanted to say I'm able to do it again, to some degree. And not that I'm going to like prioritize on it or anything like that, but this is Amazing Grace, just the first part of it, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and play that. Now, it's, the notes are G, C, D, E, D, C, A, G, okay? And back and forth. Let's go ahead and give this a listen to, okay? And so, this is part of kind of the lesson here too. This here is, now I'm just playing on the first part, multi-track, just 2, but 2 tracks, and 1 I'm playing the main part of the melody. And the second track, after I performed and recorded the first track, I let it play back and I performed the chords, okay? I formed the chords, 3 keys, the white keys, to accompany it. So let's see how it sounds, okay? Here we go. So yeah, actually followed that same thing. Now I didn't have this in front of me when I did this here, okay? Now let's just listen to the first track real quick, and then I'll play only that. Come on, I'll play only that, and then I'll go back and I'll play the accompanying chord track. Okay, so here we go. Just check it out real quick here. Listen to it all. Okay, now, then the fill-in is from the other. That's why you didn't hear anything, because the fill-in is actually on the chords. So let's go ahead and go to the chords here. Just the chords. Okay, I actually began that on the chorus. yeah, there's one more thing I want to show you. And this is something I came up with tonight is by accident. Okay, these are accidentals. And that's how a lot of times I'll come up with something. I'll stumble on something. Okay, as I'm sitting here just tickling the ivories on the keyboard. And so let's see what this sounds like. And it gives me a little something. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use it later or not, but I like to record these pieces that to me are somewhat unique. So here we go. That's something I wanted to say too, and I just remembered. So one of the best pieces of advice I can give anyone that's composing a song is let it breathe. Okay? Let it breathe, and don't be in too big of a hurry as you're playing it. All right? And perform it how you feel. And now, that one track may sound to some people, well, that's slow, right? That's okay. It's okay to be slow. And you're letting your track breathe. Because remember, you're going to add more tracks. Now that gives you room, right, to compose something that's going to accompany that, that's going to fill in those quieter moments, right, on those other tracks. And now you're going to hear, that's the whole thing, you want to be able to hear the tracks, in the multi-tracks. So on this you hear that, but something else is chiming in between on the next track, and filling in those moments of silence of the first track. And while the first track and those moments of silence are being silent, your second track is now distinct because it's saying something, right? In those moments of silence in the first track, it's speaking in those areas on the second track, and so on and so on. That's a little tip about music composing. All right, so guys, I'm just trying to think of what else. Now, I will say this, I have been preparing since last week, at least last week, from the beginning of the week for this lesson. And I set out to go ahead and do this lesson before now. And it's so much to prepare. As you can see how much stuff I've recorded to prepare for this lesson, okay? And I did a lot of practicing, and I was actually up to snuff on being able to do the scales. Now, in preparation for this lesson, I was wondering if I was going to just finally follow through with this lesson. And I've been somewhat hesitant because in preparation and trying to make sure that I'm going to get it right is the confidence level too. Am I going to be able to? This here is more difficult for me than guitar, okay? As a matter of fact, I've learned these things as a result of starting this series, Coffee and Composing, and in the direction that this is taking me in, it's like, oh, I better learn this stuff. And so I've had to teach myself these things that I've therefore shown you tonight, and recorded some of it, and then also composed things and recorded those things to give you examples of what I'm trying and attempting to convey. So this has been a real learning process for me, okay, and as well. So this is lesson 3 and the keyboard lesson on scales and chords, okay? And also I'm putting these up on my YouTube channel. Now, it's interesting because already in 4 days I had 330 something views on, I think, lesson 2. Okay, and lesson 1 was the notes, ABCDEFG, and the scale. Okay, how to play on the guitar, like you seen here. Okay, let's go ahead and arm this track right here. So, right here. So I did it on this, just the strings on the guitar. You know, I did the C, the A, and the G, I think it was, with the different frets and strings, just one after the other, like that, right? And so then I did the same with the keyboard. Then lesson 2 was forming the 7 chords on the guitar at the high end or top end of the guitar at the end of the fretboard up by the neck, okay, and the headstock, and forming the 7 chords there. So because my lesson 2 is forming the chords, the 7 chords of the 7 notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G on the guitar, I said, well, I'm going to have to do now, the next video I got to make, a lesson I got to make is the chords, okay, the same A, B, C, D, F, G on the keyboard, and get them down and record and whatnot, like you see, and then share this with you. But you have to start somewhere, and you got to create something, right, in order to even be able to do that. So what's next? My next lesson, lesson number 4 of coffee and composing, okay? And as you notice, I've been sipping on my coffee throughout this lesson, more this lesson than the other lessons. I got to remember, this is coffee and composing, so remember the coffee. Now, my next lesson, 4th lesson. So I'm going to have to work on what lesson 4 is going to be about. I'm not certain right now, and I will, though, however, as soon as I figure it out and determine what that's going to be, I will definitely keep you posted and give you notice of that. Anyway, I think that's it. And I'm pretty certain it's kind of late here. So let's see what time it is. Chicagoland, Central Standard Chicagoland time. 9:35. It's not too late, but still, I've been in the studio for a while today. Actually came in the studio at, whoa, golly, I started work. Yes, it's been studio related today since 10 a.m. All right. And now here it is about 11 and a half hours later. So I got about, what? Yeah, it's 9:30. I got about 11 and a half hours today working concerning the studio and music and whatnot. Okay. And my first thing of the day I'm just going to share with you was I had a friend of mine, a married couple, call me from Minnesota, and Dan and Michelle. So Dan is a professional drummer, and he was in a professional band, heavy metal band at one time. So it's a well-known band years ago, and also he's been a session player, drummer. Okay, he's a drummer for people such as, from what I understand, Toby Keith, Bruce Springsteen, other people, whatnot. So Dan is a great drummer, but he tells me he'll leave the audio engineering to me. So his wife, Michelle, calls me today and says, hey, I'm trying to get Dan more on YouTube. So what do I have to do? I'm having trouble with this this recording software. And I went, okay, so I know that they don't use a lot of recording software. They use hardware or whatever. So what kind of recording software are you talking about? Like video recording software, which I can help you out with, or audio recording software? Oh, this is going to be interesting. So I said, sure, because she told me yesterday, can you help me tomorrow morning? I was like, yeah. So we're on the phone, and she's at her computer, and I'm downstairs in my studio, and she's talking Pro Tools. I said, well, I know how to use Pro Tools. I've had Pro Tools. I've used Pro Tools. I've paid for Pro Tools. But Reaper DAW became my go-to DAW. So I let go of Pro Tools because not using it. And I figure I already know how, basically. And I don't want to pay for it. All right, because it's an ongoing license you got to pay for. And this DAW you pay for one time and you get the license. Okay, that's it, one payment. And so yes, the commercial studios of all the celebrity studios, they use mostly Pro Tools. So of course I say I'm an audio engineer, I better know how to use Pro Tools. All right, so I familiarized myself with it. It's basically the same differences. You know, any DAW is the same. Basically, same difference. Each one is a little different, has their own personality. You have to familiarize yourself with. However, she's using Pro Tools first, the free version. I was like, yeah, I've used that before too, as well as the regular Pro Tools paid version. And I said, but Reaper is my go-to DAW. She says, oh, I got Reaper too. I'm like, you do? So she has not used a DAW before, so she's trying to figure all this out. And so the way they're connected from the music coming through and then the drums and everything to the computer is pretty much just a layman's type setup, okay, which is fine. And it works. But I had to now show her what to do even with that setup, walk her through it as if I'm there with her. So I did everything that I'm telling her to do, even on my own computer, to show her step by step how to use this Reaper DAW. Actually, to the point where we got a recording on her DAW, rendered it and everything, showed her how to set it all up. And so I've taught her how to now use Reaper DAW. Also, file management, very important, of your folders that you have for your files, for your songs, for each and every individual song. Very important. Where you're going to put them, then have them all separate in a subfolders, each song in a subfolder of a main folder for your Reaper files, somewhere in your PC, okay? Say in music, okay? Go to PC, music, create a folder, Reaper files, capital letters, and then in there create subfolders, and every time you do a new project, just add a new folder for that particular project. Keep the projects separate from each other. And even within each one of those projects, create another subfolder so that when you render your audio that you've recorded, so then you'll have another subfolder in there saying rendered audio, and then you'll be able to go straight in there and find your rendered audio, and you won't have to mess with your Reaper file project files, which you don't want to do. All right, so now you'll be able to go in there, grab the WAV file, rendered WAV file or MP3, and be able to add that to your video and upload it to YouTube without any confusion or hassle. So I taught her a bit. I taught her how to use the Reaper DAW, the settings, sound properties from your computer. Make sure it's jiving with your preferences over here on your DAW, which is right there. Okay, whatever you have set up on your sound properties, your computer, it's got to jive. Then how to create create a track or 2, 3, or how many of you need. How to arm it, record it. Okay, get audio in there, then render it. Okay, we're gonna go to file. Going to go to this, render, okay, and then this is going to come up. And then you have to choose what you're going to do with that. So, showed her how to do all that. So she was my first student, okay. So she went from not knowing how to do this to be able to use Reaper DAW to actually showed her how to record, edit some, and then render, okay. So the recording is the recording engineer, the editing is the mix engineer, and then rendering it is going to the mastering engineer, okay? Basically is what it comes down to. And then, okay, I said, well, you're an audio engineer. My first graduate student audio engineer, okay? So the audio engineer is someone who can be the recording engineer, mix engineer, and mastering engineer. Audio engineer, that covers the 3 bases. So I had that to deal with, and it took me 3.5 hours today, which is great. Okay, loved it. And then come right back down in the studio after I took a small reprieve and came back down to the studio. I've been working. I went upstairs for some more coffee and actually some Cheez-Its. Oh yeah, I did take lunch. I took a brief lunch with the tuna wrap that I made. I made tuna wraps last night and had leftover tuna wraps today. So let's see, I had that. I make some good. I'm a good cook. I cook every day and every night, 99.9% of the time. I can make breakfast, hot breakfast, lunch, dinner. I am the designated amateur chef of the household here, and I do the cooking myself, and I'm glad to do it. I like to do it. I volunteer to do it, and that's what I want to do. Tonight, I wasn't able to cook, however, because of working in the studio, and so my lunch today was a tuna wrap, and my rest, anything else I've eaten has only been Cheez-Its. So there's my Cheez-Its, and I got coffee, and I think I had a can of brisk tea today with my tuna wrap, and lemon flavored brisk tea, and so that's it. So so I've been at it for going on 12 hours now, and I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. I'm live, so I'm just jibber jabbering. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. This is Jimmy, aka Top Cat, and I appreciate you joining me for coffee and composing. All right, coffee and composing. I want to say cheers, kamsahamnida, which is Korean for thank you, and until next time, 안녕하십시오, hasta la bye bye, and God bless. 안녕하십시오, more Korean, means goodbye for now, okay? Anyway, Lord Jesus bless. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for lesson 4. And I'll have to let you know what that is going to be about. Still got to think about that. Once again, thanks. God bless, and see you next time.